Welcome to the Private and Public School F1 Exchange Program Returning Host Family Orientation. In this training, we'll be covering important information and reminders that will promote your success as a returning host family. We will emphasize the importance of communicating with your local coordinator throughout the hosting process. Your local coordinator is well versed regarding the most updated policies and procedures and is a great resource to you. Moreover, if you have any information to share or questions to ask, you should always contact your local coordinator first. As you're completing this training, you may press the pause button at any time in order to catch up on notes that you're taking or to review information. Let's get started. Welcome back, and thank you for hosting again with PSE. We appreciate all of our host families, and we're very grateful to our returning families' dedication to hosting again. As always, we're here to support you, answer any questions you have, and address any issues that may arise during your hosting experience. In this training, we're going to review the most important information with regards to the topics listed on this slide. We've revised and condensed this training from the original host family orientation so that you receive the most updated information and reminders relevant to you as a returning host family. Depending on the status of the COVID-19 global pandemic at the time of the program, students have been informed that some or all classes may be taught online. Full participation and completion of all assignments is mandatory. Participation in sports and extracurricular activities is not guaranteed. Requests to travel may be unexpectedly denied or canceled. Students are required to follow all protocols put in place by their host families, local and federal governments, and the CDC, such as wearing masks in public places, avoiding large gatherings of people, quarantining for a minimum of 14 days if exhibiting symptoms or exposed to COVID-19, and so forth. A 14-day self-quarantine may be required upon your student's arrival. If so, students have been asked to adhere to the following CDC guidelines. Take your temperature with a thermometer 2 times a day and monitor for fever. Also, watch for cough or trouble breathing. Stay at your host family's home and avoid contact with others. Do not take public transportation, taxis, or ride shares. Keep your distance from others, about 6 feet or 2 meters. Also, please inform your local coordinator immediately if your student has an elevated temperature or exhibits any symptoms of COVID-19, for example, a persistent cough or trouble breathing. Students and host families should protect themselves and others from contracting COVID-19 by following these guidelines. Wash your hands often. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay at least 6 feet, about 2 arms length from other people. Do not gather in groups and stay out of crowded places. Wear a cloth face cover or mask when you go out in public, for example, when going to grocery stores, shops, or other places. Cover your mouth and nose with a tissue when you cough or sneeze, or use the inside of your elbow, then immediately wash your hands. Clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces daily, including your phone, keyboard, desks, doorknobs, and light switches. Here is an infographic designed and distributed by the Center for Disease Control, which details the guidelines outlined in the previous slide. Please press the pause button to review this information in more detail. We would like to point out a few features within your host family account. First, the Resources link will take you to helpful reference materials and important forms, for example, the PSE travel documents and forms. Second, to view your host family application, click on the application link and then click on See Your Host Family Application. Your application should pop up, and from there you can view its information. If any updates need to be made to your host family application, such as someone moving in or out of the home, then please notify your local coordinator as soon as possible. Also, to view your student's application, make sure the program start date is set correctly, for example, August 2020, and then click on your student's name. Here are several reminders regarding student arrival. You will receive an email from PSE with the student's flight details. Please confirm the flight number and flight information online. Also, confirm the time and day of flight arrival. If you have any questions about the flight details or arrival airport, please contact your local coordinator immediately. Remember to arrive at the airport early to avoid any unforeseen delays. Also, arrange a meeting place with your student in advance. Host families are expected to greet students at the airport. Remember to make a banner or sign with their name on it. Don't rely on photos to recognize them because they may have changed and look different. When you have located your student, contact your local coordinator. If you're unable to locate your student, then request an airport page and alert your local coordinator. If you're still unable to locate them, contact our 24-hour emergency number at 877-222-9803. If your student is under the age of 16, they may be flying as an unaccompanied minor. In this case, you will need to go through security to meet them at the arrival gate, so remember to bring your ID. Here are several reminders to help your student settle in. If your student is new to the area, please make sure to familiarize them with local places such as the school, bank, rec center, and nearby stores. When visiting the supermarket, discuss how to shop and budget for food. Review the community and, if applicable, public transportation. If the student is new to your home, make sure to familiarize them with your home, including appliances, their room, and bathroom. Most importantly, within the first week after student arrival, sit down with your student and complete the expectations worksheet together. As you know, completing the worksheet is essential to help prevent any misunderstandings and miscommunication from occurring. Additionally, remember that some students experience stress and culture shock upon arrival. Don't panic. Instead, let your local coordinator know that your student is exhibiting any of these signs of culture shock: eating poorly, withdrawing, or not communicating. Now, we're going to review several important reminders regarding communication. If your student is new and their English is not well developed, then be sure to speak slowly and clearly. Remind your student that if they have any issues, then they should always talk to you or their local coordinator instead of communicating with the sending agency. Reassure them that we are there to support them. Review the expectations worksheet with regards to communication. For example, the student giving prior notice if they need a ride to places, or how to ask for permission. Be sure to make time for monthly contact with your local coordinator. Most importantly, please remember that all communication should go through the PSE office. Please do not contact the natural parents directly. Instead, contact the PSE office. If the natural parents contact you directly, then alert your local coordinator right away before responding. Remember to always contact your local coordinator if you have any questions or concerns. As a reminder, host families are required to provide a legitimate bedroom with a bed, closet, window, and dresser, a quiet study space, 3 meals per day, secure transportation to and from school and some extracurricular activities, and a safe and caring environment. You should familiarize your student with your house rules. For example, when dinner is served, what the rules are for helping oneself to food, how laundry is handled, what time curfew is. Families that expect students to learn by watching the actions of their own children will often be disappointed. It is important that these particular expectations are written down and posted somewhere to serve as a reminder. No attempt should ever be made to change your student's religious beliefs. However, it is acceptable to give your student an opportunity to explore your religion as part of their cultural exposure. You may ask your student to attend church, synagogue, or temple services for a reasonable amount of time. For example, 1 time per week for about 1 to 2 hours. But they cannot make any life-changing decisions while on the program, including converting to another religion. Engage your student by asking questions about school and how they're adjusting to life in their new community. Again, your local coordinator is required to meet in person with your student every month and with you in your home every other month. Please make time in your schedule to meet with your local coordinator. Please inform your local coordinator immediately of any changes in your family's circumstances, such as you want to host another exchange student, someone else moves into your home, whether temporarily or permanently, Someone moves out of your home. You move to another residence. Your family experiences a loss of employment. Anyone in your home has criminal charges against them, or if your contact information changes. Now, we're going to review host family and student expectations. With regards to family integration, some students may spend a great deal of time in their rooms, and others may want to participate in family activities. Some will be used to having siblings and some not. Be sure to communicate openly. Be patient while helping your student integrate, and set expectations from the start. The expectations worksheet needs to be completed and submitted for all new and returning students. Be sure to complete the worksheet within a couple of weeks of student arrival. With regards to academic focus, remember that the F1 program is an academic-focused program, and studying will likely take up a majority of your students' time. An important thing for our host families to always remember is that our students should be treated like family members, not guests, in order to be properly integrated into the exchange experience. And of course, no matter what country they're from, students are teenagers and will need your parental guidance. Also, while it's acceptable to assign personal chores to your student, please keep in mind that their focus should be on their academics and family experience, not being overwhelmed by too many additional responsibilities. With regards to food, host families are responsible for providing 3 meals per day. If your student wishes to purchase lunch at school, that is their responsibility. Ask your student what types of foods they'd like to eat and be sure to have these items available. Also, be clear about expectations for preparing breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and make sure to share with them what foods are available, meal times, rules about cooking and appliance use, and so forth. Regarding church services, your student may not practice the same religion as your family, or they may not hold any religious beliefs at all. Although it's acceptable to request that your student attend service with you occasionally, it should not be required that they attend regularly if they do not wish. Regarding transportation, host families are responsible for providing transportation to and from school, some extracurricular and social activities. Educate your student on other available methods of transportation for when you're unable to provide it. For example, public transit, carpooling, riding a bike. Make sure to communicate openly and set expectations from the start. As a reminder, please refer to the PSE rules and regulations in the Host Family Handbook. Here are several important student rules which are included in the PSE terms of participation. Students are expected to be respectful and represent themselves in an honorable and mature manner at all times. Engage in a limited and reasonable amount of non-academic technology use per day. Obey all U.S. laws, including no shoplifting, use of weapons, tobacco, alcohol, or drug use. Not drive or operate any motorized vehicles. Not date or engage in sexual activity. Adjust to their host family life and spend time with their host family while following house rules. Be proactive in arranging transportation to see friends or attend extracurricular activities. Submit the PSE travel form at least 2 weeks prior to their desired travel date. Be on time to school and attend classes daily. It is also emphasized that they are responsible for waking up on time in order to accomplish this. Hire a tutor if grades fall below a C. Also, students are not allowed to re-enroll at the same school without PSE and sending agency involvement. As you are well aware, resolving conflict is critical for a positive host family and student experience. Good communication between the student and host family is critical. Remember that your student comes from a different culture and their communication style may be different from yours. For example, South Koreans may respond with laughter when they're embarrassed or when they don't know how to respond. It's important to gather all the facts and information before forming any opinion. Things are not always as they seem. Also, avoid using blaming language when discussing the problem. Here are the steps for conflict resolution. First, inform your local coordinator. Mediation may be necessary. Then, try to resolve any existing conflicts. And lastly, inform your local coordinator again for any additional support necessary. Let's discuss these steps in more detail. If a student is experiencing a problem, the natural family is not the first contact. Again, the PSE office will handle all communications to the sending agency and natural parents. Rather, the local coordinator will get the facts from all parties, the host family and the student, and will mediate the situation with the support of the regional manager and the PSE office. The PSE office will evaluate the situation, and if needed, will talk with the student and you, the host family, directly. The office will also contact the student sending organization, who will inform the natural parents. Every attempt possible should be made to mediate and resolve the conflicts that are occurring. If the student has a behavior issue, then they will be clearly advised of what behavioral changes are necessary to successfully continue their homestay experience. And in most cases, disciplinary documentation will be given to the student by the local coordinator. If your family or the student has a legitimate problem that cannot be resolved, the PSE office and the local coordinator will find a new family for the student. Here is an important note. If any member of a host family has had allegations of abuse brought against them, the student will be removed from the home immediately and permanently. If your student is spending an exorbitant amount of time on their phones or devices, and it becomes a problem, for example, staying up late and not being able to get up in the morning for school, or falling asleep during class, notify your local coordinator right away. Here's the protocol. Your local coordinator may issue them a letter of encouragement, or LOE, which will remind them to limit their technology use and make sure that they're responsible for getting up on time to go to school. The local coordinator will discuss with them the importance of not overly communicating with their home country. In order to improve their English speaking skills, proficiency, and to effectively integrate into their host family, it's important for them to limit their home country interactions. If this problem continues, then notify your LC again. PSE may suggest that electronic devices are left in a certain location in the home at a certain time and then be accessible in the morning. Please make sure to clearly communicate and establish your expectations regarding technology use from the start. For example, no technology use at family dinner table. Your student needs to know that they need to abide by these rules which apply to them. Here are important reminders with regards to money. Your student will bring their own spending money. They should receive a minimum of $250 per month from their natural parents for personal expenses. Please help your student budget their spending money carefully by using the Student Budget Worksheet, which is located in the Resources section of ZAP. Students and their host families should not borrow money from each other. Money misunderstandings can create distrust in student and host family relationships. Also, students should keep receipts for all purchases they make while on the program. Storing the receipts in an envelope is the best practice. As a reminder, the student is responsible for all personal expenses, including additional meals outside of the 3 meals a day provided by the host family. For example, buying lunch at school and special foods outside of the host family's normal selection. Entertainment such as movies, snacks, sports events, and restaurant meals. Any costs associated with travel activities or excursions. Personal items such as toothpaste, shampoo, makeup, and deodorant. All clothing, including winter jackets. School expenses such as books, class fees, yearbooks, sports, and special events. Co-pays at the time of medical visits and any additional medical bills incurred. Miscellaneous purchases such as tutoring costs or cell phone bills. As another important reminder, host families are not allowed to co-sign on a student's cell phone plan or add the student to an existing family plan. There are no exceptions to this rule. With regards to your student's access to money, students typically arrive with a debit or credit card, which is how they access funds. If your student has any trouble accessing funds while they're here, notify your local coordinator immediately. Please remember that host families should not be a co-signer on their student's bank account. Also, never discuss the stipend amount with your student, as it could negatively affect your host family relationship. Now, we'll review important information regarding the host family stipend. For each year that a host family hosts, PSE needs to collect an updated W-9, direct deposit form, and voided check. Please send these completed forms to the PSE office via email, fax, or mail to the contact information on the screen. Again, you may pause the video to capture this information. If a family does not host for the entire month, then the stipend will be prorated. If a student stays with a temporary PSE host family, then that family will be paid for the dates that they host. Please make sure to inform your local coordinator regarding any temporary stay situations. Also, please do not discuss the stipend directly with your student or with other host families. Let's review some important reminders about school and transportation. Host families are responsible for arranging transportation to and from school and some extracurricular activities. Students are not allowed to drive while on the PSE program. Students must maintain a C or higher in all classes or hire a tutor. Students need to maintain regular attendance in all classes. Notify your local coordinator if there are any behavioral issues at school and/or if your student is in detention. Because the F1 program has a strong academic focus, please remember that most students on the PSE program will have school and their studies as the primary focus. Moreover, keep in mind that students may be under a lot of pressure by their natural parents and therefore may spend more time studying than participating in family activities. Of course, this doesn't apply to all students, but if your student does spend a lot of time studying, you will understand why. Whenever possible, advise your student to participate in family activities and go to places with your family. Do what you can to engage and involve your student and treat them as part of your family. Now, let's review some important information regarding student travel. Permission to travel requests should be submitted if one or more of the following apply. The student is traveling by air. The length of the trip is more than 72 hours. For international travel, which includes travel to Mexico and Canada. Unaccompanied travel. Travel with someone other than the host family, or if the student will miss school. Please remember that your student should not be allowed to travel until you have received confirmation of approval from PSE. If travel plans change, inform your local coordinator immediately. If a student wishes to travel internationally, they need to bring their original I-20 and contact the appropriate consulate to gather information regarding entry and exit. Let's review the process for approval. The travel form needs to be submitted at least 2 weeks prior to this intended travel. If the student will miss school, they need to receive a school official's signature. The PSE office will verify approval with the host family, sending organization, and natural parents. Once processed, the PSE office will notify the local coordinator, host family, and student. Last-minute travel request submissions will most likely be denied. Please see the travel section of the host family handbook for more information. Travel forms may be found in the ZAP resources section or ask your local coordinator. Students are eligible to participate in the optional student trips, which are offered by our sister company, Education, Travel, and Culture. Participation requires an additional fee, and eligibility depends on timing and the student's academic and behavioral status. With regards to student health insurance, all PSE students are emailed a copy of their insurance card prior to arrival. Host families should make a copy of their insurance card to keep with them. Insurance generally does not cover pre-existing conditions, wellness care, immunizations, school physicals, dental or orthodontic care, or eye treatment, with the exception of dental or eye emergencies. Students should have $500 set aside for medical emergencies. Students should ensure to pay their copays at the time of their visit and their bills upon receipt. Open the bills with your student to review that with them. Students need to be sure to complete and return the questionnaire sent from the insurance company quickly in order for claims to be processed. For any questions or if payments are not made, please contact your local coordinator immediately. Here are a few important reminders regarding visits to the emergency room. Students should not use an emergency room in the United States unless their illness or injury is serious or life-threatening. Here are some examples of life-threatening situations: head injuries, chest pain, loss of consciousness, life-threatening situations, difficulty breathing, or seizures. In addition, if you choose to use an emergency room, students will be charged up to $350 in addition to any applicable deductible or coinsurance required by their plan. If your student visits a doctor or clinic for any reason, please inform your local coordinator, and for any questions or if payments are not made, please contact your local coordinator immediately. As a reminder, at the end of every month, the local coordinator will complete a progress report for each student. Please make sure that you reserve time each month to talk with your local coordinator and to discuss how things are going with your student. Here are important reminders regarding the monthly reports. This is a great time to update your local coordinator on any issues, improvements, or upcoming plans. Also, please be honest. It's much easier to get assistance with a small problem now than to mediate a larger problem later on. In-home meetings with your local coordinator are required every other month to best support you and your student. Other months, your local coordinator may meet with you outside your home or will call to check in. All monthly reports are due on the 25th of the month, so the in-home visit will need to take place before then. Now, let's review the procedure for contacting PSE regarding any questions or issues that arise. Your first point of contact is always your local coordinator. If your local coordinator is not available, then contact your regional manager. Finally, if you can't reach either, then call the 24-hour PSE phone number at 877-222-9803. This contact information is located on the student's PSE ID card. Here are 5 simple safety tips to ensure that your student has a safe exchange experience. Make sure that your student learns your telephone number and address as soon as possible. Help your student get to know the surrounding area. Get to know your student's friends. Place reasonable limits on physical interaction, respecting your student's cultural preference regarding displays of affection. Ensure that your student is aware of their support systems, for example, the host family, local coordinator, PSE, and their school. Please review the pamphlet, Your Body Belongs to You, which covers information regarding sexual abuse. A PDF of the pamphlet was emailed to you as part of your host family welcome materials, and it is available for reference in the resources section of ZAP. We review this pamphlet with our students during the PSE student orientation. Here are some ideas on how to minimize the opportunity of sexual abuse. Understand that abusers often become friendly with potential victims and their families, enjoying family activities, earning trust, and gaining time alone with children. Choose group situations when possible and/or make sure that multiple adults are present who can supervise. If you eliminate or reduce one adult to one child situations, you'll dramatically lower the risk of sexual abuse to that child. Set an example by personally avoiding one adult to one child situations with children other than your own. Drop in unexpectedly when the child is alone with any adult, even trusted family members. PSE policy states that if any allegation of abuse is reported, regardless of the circumstances, the student will need to be relocated immediately. Once the sexual abuse or allegation has been reported, PSE will provide the appropriate support to the student via local law enforcement and child protective service agencies. Now, we will review some important emergency procedures. For accident or illness, always seek medical attention for the student when needed. The student's insurance card and medical release form should be presented to the medical provider to obtain treatment. For serious medical emergencies, contact the PSE office 24-hour emergency number immediately at 877-222-9803. Proceed with the doctor's advice for emergency treatment. The PSE office will contact and relay advice to and from the parents. Your student will need to complete insurance procedures as explained in the Host Family Handbook, which is located in the Resources section of ZAP. With regards to smoking, drinking, and breaking the law, PSE prohibits smoking and the use or possession of drugs and alcohol. As a reminder, please do not serve students alcoholic beverages. If the student is discovered partaking in a severe infraction of the law, the host family or local coordinator should contact the PSE office immediately. Again, please ensure that the PSE office 24-hour emergency number is programmed into your phone for easy reference. Now, we'll review the student's responsibilities when preparing to return to their home country. Students are typically required to depart within 1 week of the last day of school. If your student is returning, coordinate with your local coordinator to secure storage for belongings during the summer. Make sure all medical and other bills are paid. Students should be reminded to leave their room clean, as it was found. Finally, it is the host family's responsibility to arrange for transportation to the local or preferred airport. Our PSE staff is dedicated to providing you with outstanding service and support. Here is an updated list of our staff who work out of the corporate office in Portland, Oregon. Please ensure that our contact phone number, 877-222-9803, is saved in your phone for easy reference. The Returning Host Family Orientation sign-off sheet was emailed to you. Upon completion of this training, please print, sign, date, and email, or hand-deliver the form to your local coordinator. By completing this process, we will verify that you have completed this orientation. This concludes the PSE orientation for returning host families. We hope that this training provided you with helpful reminders and information for another successful hosting experience. Please remember that if you have any questions, contact your local coordinator. Again, thank you for hosting with PSE. We appreciate you.